go ahead and take up number 2. Is that the only one? No. Number 2, Guider versus Hubble. And did we get a phone number? I know there's an email, but
I have one, if you're ready.
Ready?
It's 615-946-9441.
Hello? Ms. Welty?
Hello?
Yes.
Hi.
I've got you on the speakerphone in court. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right. And then we're ready on the Guider and Hubble case. And I think we're coming back to determine about the...
Public versus private, they weren't able to come to an agreement.
We're not? Okay.
Your Honor, when I read your order, it seems to me like we had a failure to communicate, and I brought some important information that I didn't have the last time, including a psychoeducational report, suggestions for, from the Metro Public Schools, and I'd like for you to reconsider your decision.
Well, that's not before me today. That's not been asked, and you don't come into court to say, please reconsider it.
When I called the clerk's office, that's what they told me.
Well, then if they told you that, find out the name of the person that told you that, because I want to know, because I want to go to the clerk down there, because they're not supposed to give out legal advice. If they did give you bad legal advice, you need to go take it up with them downstairs, okay? Because that's not even close to being true. So that you'll have to talk with them. We were here today just to decide the issue of the public versus private. All right, and I guess we'll hear each party's position on that and what we have and what information we have available, and go from there.
Your Honor, like I said, they haven't been able to reach an agreement on public versus private. They did agree if it was private school, it would be Lipscomb University for a couple of different reasons.
Okay.
First of all, obviously the smaller class size than public school. Second of all, it's more reasonable driving-wise. It's 7 miles for Ms. Hubble and 13 miles for Mr. Guider to school versus 21 miles to send to private school. Right now, the parties are doing about 50-50 on drop-offs and pickups of the child, so obviously finding somewhere in the middle would be beneficial. It would be less travel time for the child and obviously for my client. They were hoping to use, well, Mr. Guider was hoping to use the school for pickups and drop-offs of the child as opposed to having to travel to each other's homes to hopefully avoid some conflict there. Additionally, the private school is workable if the primary parent is changed in the future. We still have that petition pending. So if that's modified, the child will then have to transition schools if she's assigned to a public school now. And it's my understanding as well that Ms. Hubble has filed an appeal of our hearing from last time, so I don't know what to expect for changes in the future. And then lastly, Lipscomb is associated with the church that Ms. Hubble and Delara currently attend, and the principal goes to her church, so it's my understanding they have some connection there, and that they have agreed if private school is selected, that would be the one that they attend.
All right. What private school?
Lipscomb,
No, what public school would the child be assigned to?
Cole Elementary.
Cole Elementary. And how far is that from where you live?
It's a half a mile. Can I say what I want to say about it, or do you
Yeah,
just have to ask me questions?
No, I'm just I'm gathering the information.
Okay, well, I'd like to tell you my list. You want a copy of it? I'll just read it. It's about a half a mile. He Googled it and said that it was 0.7, but it's about a half a mile, and my older children went there until 4th grade, and I know he's complained about the scores or something, but my children had a very good experience there. And Abigail, Delara, she's gifted, intellectually gifted, and I've been meeting her needs at home, those special needs that she has. But if she goes to Cole, she'll be part of the Encore enrichment program, and my two older children went through that too. But at Cole, now they have Encore there, and I used to have to pick them up and take them. It was a half-a-day pull-out program. One thing I appreciate about, besides that we had a good experience there, and my children went on to, my older daughter went on to Harpeth Hall, and my son went on to Meg's Academic Magnet. My daughter didn't get in the lottery, so she went to Harpeth Hall, and my son went on to Meg's, and then he's Hume Thought now, and so they've done very well. I think it's important to be part of a community, and since I have had experience with public school and private school, and like Meg's and Harpeth Hall are both 12, 13 miles away from me, and it's hard for the children to socialize with friends from school, outside of school, when they live, you know, a long ways away. So I think being part of a neighborhood school and the community, I know when my older children were in elementary school, it was good for them to have kids in the neighborhood to play with after school and on weekends, and I think Delara would benefit from that too. I think fostering friendships outside the classroom is important. We can walk back and forth to school. I do that with my older children, and I feel like that's better commute than being in the car and getting in traffic and a child having to talk to the back of my head to and from school. And plus, it's my daughter. It came up in the hearing before that she's got a lot of energy and she needs to move, and I think that would get her off to a good start walking to school and walking back and forth. That would be an extra mile a day walking, and I think it would help her physically deal with being confined to the scheduled classroom during the day. What's really important, I think, is I brought up at the hearing and in my answer and everything that I've been the primary caregiver and educator of Delara since she was born. She went to preschool 2 days a week for the last 2.5 years. So she's used to being around me. She's used to me meeting her needs. She's used to me challenging her. She's used to me, adjusting and adapting to her needs throughout the day and, overall. But I'll be losing, just classroom time, I'll be losing 21 hours. I pointed out most of his parenting time is at night. Most of my I get the daytime because he works during the day. So I work with my child during the day. So if she goes to public or private school, I'll be losing 21 plus commute time hours a week, and that's a big chunk of time. And you said, well, I could continue to homeschool her after regular school, but I can't really do that because I can't do the same thing when I don't have the same access to her and time available. So if she goes to Cole, I'll be able to, my proposition to him was, what we've been doing is we've been exchanging back and forth.
You're taking a long time, and you hadn't told me really much of anything of substance.
Well, I'm trying to, like when we went through the hearing last time, I felt like I talked a lot and you didn't understand anything I was trying to say.
I understand it. But
What I'm saying is, if I pick her up, if she goes to Cole, I can walk her to school, walk her home. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, when she's been in private preschool, and I would drop her off, and he would pick her up.
At what time?
6 o'clock. They closed at 6.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is if she goes to Cole Elementary, it'll be a huge benefit to her to make up 6 of those hours that I'm losing.
Let me make sure I know the schedule. And just so I understand the schedule, you have the child from when to when each. What's the schedule now?
I've been having her all day Sunday, all day Monday. I've been dropping her off at preschool Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then he picks her up at 6. Then Wednesday morning, I've been getting her anywhere between 9 and 10:30. That's one reason I couldn't do a very detailed schedule for you, is because it changes.
You're bouncing around again.
Okay. So Wednesday, I
She's
would
with you during
go
the
to his
day.
house, and she'd be there and spend the night with me Wednesday night. Thursday morning, I'd drop her off at school. He'd pick her up at 6. Friday, and spend the night with him Thursday. Friday morning, I'd go pick her up, spend the day with her, and that would usually be her field trip day, rather than driving all the way back to Antioch. So we'd do stuff downtown, go to the Frisk Center, go to the zoo, go to the.
You have her during
all
the
this
day and he has her.
Friday.
nights.
Yes.
Every day you have her during the day, or she's
Except
in
Tuesdays and
preschool.
Thursdays.
Except she's in preschool, but other than her being in preschool, she would have been in your care and control. Correct?
Yes.
During
Yes,
those
and then I'd
times.
get her Saturday. He'd usually have her till around
Is that accurate?
noon.
It's my understanding that that is accurate.
Okay.
So I'm saying that
I just trying to.
okay. So that was one point. Is that would help me, and it would be more. He would only have to drive to Cole Wednesday morning to drop her off, and Friday morning to drop her off. And I told him I will bring her to you, just like instead of him having to go to the preschool and picking her up. Tuesday, I would be minimizing his
Let me gather a little bit more information here. Do we know what the cost is
of what?
of the private school?
Cost is around $10,000 euro.
All right, and I assume you're proposing to pay for all of that,
Yes.
100% of it. Okay. So, all right.
And Your Honor, as far as schedule, Mr. Greiner has offered to pick her up at 2:30. He's self-employed, so he has a fairly flexible schedule. If it turns out it's better for her to leave early after she's been all day, he's willing to pick her up at 2:30 rather than the later aftercare.
I guess we can hear from the guardian too.
Yes, Your Honor. The one thing I want to bring to your attention, it concerns me on this case that everyone wants to talk about how gifted she is in her education, but then what we get from the parents is, well, it's this far away from where I would be in this many miles, or it's taking away this much time for me. And what I think we should focus on is which option would give her the best education. I didn't hear from either parent that they told you that Lipscomb Academy actually offers what's called a pre-first program, where she, because of her giftedness and already knowing all of these kindergarten things, if she went to the school and tested, there's a high likelihood she would test into that program, which would offer her better academics than what just the plain kindergarten program would, since she is a little bit further ahead than most of probably her kindergarten peers she would be going into kindergarten with, especially in elementary school. And I think that's important to bring to your attention. And I think we had looked up Cole, and the only way I know to look at the educational value of the public school is to look on the website that offers the number, and I think they came up as S3. I do think it's good if you do decide for public school that she could do the pull-out program, and that the mother would have her do that pull-out program. But one of the things that both parents presented to me when I met with them was that they liked the pre-first program at Lipscomb Academy, and they would allow the teachers to decide when she went for her kindergarten testing, whether or not she would be a right fit for that program or not.
And I'll hear from, what was your opinion about Lipscomb? Because I haven't heard what you thought about Lipscomb's.
I think there's a lot of things I really like about it, but the downside is I wouldn't be able to spend the time with her, and it's important. Her time's already limited with me because she lives in 2 different households. So I think it's important for her, especially since she's so, I've given her a very nurturing environment that she's just really flourished in academically and emotionally and developmentally in every way. So I think it would be a big transition. Also, if she just suddenly just jerked out of the situation she's been thriving in so well. And also, I think you should consider the rehearing situation. When we ever get to that, I'm really confused as to the parenting. Well, stuff's still up in the air, the parent gift, because I could appeal. Haven't figured out how to do it, because I really think if you saw the recommendations from the school psychologist that evaluated her over 2 days, I think you would realize that I'm doing the things that they've recommended, and I can give her what they're saying she needs better than any school. And that's what I've been doing, and that's why she's been doing so well. So so this is all up in the air, and the guardian ad litem said it might be midterm that it gets settled, except I guess he could appeal too if I got to homeschool again. But I just think it would be less disruptive to Delara to still be able to, get back those 6 hours, because Lipscomb, and at her home, I could get her, she'd come home and she could enjoy being with her pets. She loves spending time with her pets. She loves spending time with the the kids next door. I just think it would be better for her to be part of that. I think it's more stability for her.
How far is, you said 7 miles from your house? to
No,
Lipscomb?
it's, no, it's about a half a mile. It's walking
No,
distance.
Lipscomb is 7 miles.
I think if I go, yeah, something like that.
Have you driven that route?
Yes,
How long is it take you to drive it?
20 minutes, 50, 20 minutes,
I'm
yes.
asking you, you drove it, don't look to him.
Well, Harpeth Hall is a little bit farther than that, but I didn't time it. I just know roughly that it was close to halfway.
How long did it take you to get to Harpeth Hall?
It depended on what time we left in the morning, but usually about 20, if there wasn't a lot of traffic, take about 25 minutes. So I think this is just a few miles away, so I think it's probably about 20 minutes driving.
About 20 minutes, okay. Okay. Well, I mean, it's a hard call on this one because I can see the advantage of being in the elementary school being close because the child really has been in mother's care and control up until the evening time. That's been the pattern. That, even though the child was in the preschool, father pick up at 6 o'clock. You know, it was not as if picking up right after school. And I understand he can start adjusting his schedule, but you know what I don't want to do is create any more disruption. If the child's used to being with mom, or being at school, or being with mom, I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense. I don't know the Cole Elementary School. You know, we have the Encore program and others, and you know, you may get a little bit better education at Lipscomb, and we can make those arguments all day long. But right now, it seems that pattern that mother's the one who's the responsible parent, if you will, during the school hours. Correct?
Yes, Your Honor, and I agree. That we wouldn't want to cut in too much. I think it's my understanding school gets out at about 2:30, so the mother would
3.
still have. Okay, I'm sorry, 3. So the mother would still have a good amount of time with the child, and the weekend time as well to work with her.
And I did want to mention
But
too.
yeah, it's my turn right now.
I'm sorry.
But what I'm looking at is because the reality is this, okay? If you're the parent that's responsible during the daytime, the child gets sick, the child needs something, whatever, who's the one who has to take care of it? That's mom. And saying to mom, well, okay, we're going to put the child over here, and if the child's sick, you have to go pick up the child and bring the child back. If something happens and there's a snow day, you got to go pick the child.
I can pick her up.
It's her responsibility. Now we're talking about reallocating responsibility, and that's an entirely different thing. I'm dealing with what is, not, well, we could reallocate the responsibility and make you responsible those times. That's a whole other issue. I'm looking at, my understanding is mother's responsible in the morning times, and you have the evening, night,
Tuesdays and Thursdays, he has the child.
at night.
Well, no, the schedule that they've been doing is technically the daytime is his time with the child. He's just been choosing to put her in preschool because he
Do
felt
we have
that
a schedule? Has
education
this been
was
written down, or is this just kind of a working off?
It's what they've agreed to, what it's been, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it is my understanding that the Tuesdays and Thursdays have been his time. He's chosen to put her in that preschool, but what they had agreed to were Tuesdays and Thursdays during the day was his time.
Is that Tuesday and Thursdays were his days, so he would get all day Tuesday?
Well, when he decided to put her in, he's supposed to have 180 days, I'm supposed to have 185, but
I understand it.
so I told him if he wanted to put her in preschool, that would count as his day. So that's officially, we
Before
officially
the
call that his
preschool
day.
started,
I had her every day.
during the days,
Yeah, every day, all night, all day and all night.
when did y'all go to this 185 and 80 day schedule?
When when she was about 22 months old, he started keeping
I
her.
have this dated 08, so
He started keeping her Friday nights when she was almost 2. But he would come see her every day. He'd come to my house and he'd see her for 2 hours a day.
let me ask this in a more basic way. When y'all came to me and said, please sign this order, he gets 180 days and I have 185, we have joint legal custody. Explain to me what those 180 days he actually had were at the time that y'all agreed to this.
0. He had 2 hours, 5 days.
Why
a
did you
week.
write on here that he had 180 days when you knew that wasn't right?
Because I didn't have any choice. I didn't have a lawyer, and I didn't.
You had a
I
pen in
wanted
your
him-
hand you could have put down.
Excuse me?
You had a pen in your hand you could have said no. I mean, I'm getting a feeling that from your testimony that y'all perpetrated a fraud on me when you told me something that was not true and you wrote and you signed in writing saying it was true and it really wasn't true. You told me he had 180 days a year.
Well, that's what he's entitled to. He just
No.
didn't exercise it. I didn't understand the law. I wasn't perpetrating a fraud, but I did tell him when he had a lawyer write it up, and I did tell him, I told the lawyer in the email that she was being exclusively breastfed, and he didn't want to keep her anyway because he didn't feel like he didn't have any experience with babies. He's only got one arm. He didn't know how to change a diaper, and so he would come see her 2 hours a day, at least 5 days a week. For the first 3 months, he came 2 days,
Okay.
7 days.
Y'all didn't ever, I don't even know what the plan was. There's never been a plan. That's something that we're gonna have to get a plan in writing.
Well, that's one of the things they're asking for, and they're wanting to change the parenting plan. I'm not, well, I guess you need to deal with the school first.
I gotta deal with school right now.
And part of our concern is that if things get modified in the future, that then she would have to go to another school after a year. But there's no formal plan in writing. The plan they've been doing is Tuesdays and Thursdays during the day are his time, as well as Fridays
Friday
afternoon.
until Saturday,
Until Saturday.
around like 2, maybe sometimes 12.
But the Tuesdays and Thursdays, the only time you really spent was picking up after preschool at 6 o'clock.
And she picks her up around 10:30
Yeah.
lately, in the morning, the
Right.
next day.
Okay. But the reality is during the day, and the preschool's not a, preschool
She's
goes to
withdrawn
6
from
o'clock.
preschool.
Okay, what have y'all been doing when there's been no preschool?
I've been keeping her.
Wait, is that true?
Yeah, I think
During
so.
the day, yeah. Yeah, I mean, mother is, for all intents and purposes, as of right now, has been the primarily responsible parent during the school hours. And because of that, I'm more inclined to lean towards what mother wants to do now, because she's the one that has to deal with it. And, I can't say that, I don't have any evidence to say that it's not a good program, that it's not gonna be helpful to the child. I mean, you can always weigh out, and one can be a little better than the other, and we can go through and we can start picking out other preschools that are even better than this. Maybe cost more money, but at some point, we have to say there's other issues involved too, so.
I will say,
You're winning right now, so you don't have to say
What?
it. You're winning right now, so you don't have to say
Oh,
a word.
well,
You don't have to say a word when
Okay.
you're winning.
okay.
So, as of right now, and primarily because of mother's schedule, and because she's the one that's responsible during those times, I'm gonna defer more to her judgment at this point to leave the child in the public school and let that happen. Obviously, if things change, we can deal with it when it comes up, so. All right. And then I guess if there's any other.
Your Honor, can we just, I'm sorry to interrupt, can we be clear on, is mom responsible for going and registering her as soon as possible?
Yes, mom has to get her registered. Mom's the one who's responsible for the day-to-day getting the child to school and back from school. I guess y'all will work out the transportation on the other aspects for the evenings. But yeah, mom's responsible for the child during the day if something comes up at school. Mom's the responsible parent as of right now.
What about Wednesday morning and Friday morning? Is he responsible for
Well,
getting
if the
her?
child's with him, he's either gotta get the child back to you in time or to school in time. It doesn't matter to me which way y'all work on that, but I'm saying during the school day, if something comes up during the school day, right now you've been acting as the primary parent. And so because of that, you need to have that more flexibility on that, so.
Your Honor, lastly, we would ask to include in the order that nothing negative is said to the child about the school situation.
Absolutely.
There have been some indications that we'd like to keep the child positive about where she'll be attending school.
Right, yeah, yeah. I don't know exactly what language you want in there, but what you're proposing on that.
Just that neither parent say anything negative about where the child will be attending school, or present it in a way that it's a negative that she won't be staying home for school anymore.
Or a negative that she's not gonna go to private school.
Right.
Yeah, if it's a positive, we're gonna only speak positive about the school choices right now, so. Okay, all right, anything else for today?
I need to know about this. I thought when we went to court on the 9th of June or whenever that was, that on the 30th of June, we were gonna deal with this parent petition to change the parenting plan, and he wants me to only have Delara every other weekend, and he wants to be
That's-
primary parent, and,
That's not today, that's not even anywhere close to today.
well, it was, the date on the order thing was the 30th, so I'm really confused about when that's gonna be.
What's the order thing?
The petition, it was on the docket for the 30th.
Right, that's the initial appearance on that. We haven't said.
But you didn't bring any, it didn't come up on the 30th, and she told me that we were supposed to deal with that today.
I said that we might talk about setting a date today. To be honest, it's hard to know how we'll go with that when the appeal we haven't done an initial appearance in front of the judge for the appeal yet.
Right.
That's set for the 22nd.
Right.
But, so I don't, this doesn't have to be finalized before I can get the rehearing on the homeschooling?
All I can tell you is they're petitioned for change of custody. The 30th was what we call an initial appearance. All we do is we assess the situation, and we set a trial date if needed. If it's ready, we figure out where we're gonna proceed on with that petition. But we don't, it's gonna be at least a half-day trial, and if it goes, it could have go for a full-day trial, who knows how long it's gonna take.
Well, I wish that, because the homeschooling was included in that, and you really didn't get enough information to make the good, the right decision in the Laura's best interest. I think you did the best with the information that you had, but it wasn't mentioned. See, that's the initial appearance. I never heard it mentioned on the 30th.
I think I was just dealing with the motion to deal with the homeschooling issues, the only.
That's the only thing that we
That's
talked
the
about.
only thing that we've talked
I don't
about.
understand why we didn't.
I just-
When are we gonna deal with the petition?
Whenever it's appropriate to set it.
And,
And, Your Honor, I've spoken with Ms. Hubble procedurally and said anyone at any time can file a motion to set that petition.
I will tell you right now, those hearings we have set are set out till November and December on the earliest possible dates on those. Those are set for half-day trials.
okay,
My earliest possible dates are November and December now.
so I can just go downstairs and say, set, please.
File a motion to set
File a
it,
motion to set
And
this.
it will come up with a due course on that, yes.
Okay, and then it will, but the
And it's father's petition, correct? I mean, he's really gotta, he's gotta drive it. It's his petition. He may not even ever pursue it. I don't know. He's
well,
gonna.
I don't like it hanging over my head and him threatening to take her and only let me see her every other weekend.
Okay. He can't threaten to do anything. He can file a petition, but I don't know that it's ready. I don't know that discovery's been completed. I don't know it's procedurally.
We haven't done
in place.
anything like that.
Exactly. So,
Does that happen before the motion is set or after the motion is set?
before.
You do the discovery before the motion is set,
Yeah,
so
I don't
do
wanna
I need to
set a
get with,
trial.
I need to get with her.
I don't wanna be setting a trial without stuff I don't know that's ready for a
Okay.
trial, so. Okay, but we'll draft the order from today. That we've dealt with the issue for today. We've addressed that, gotten that nailed down, so. All right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And I guess as far as the guardian goes, really it was a limited appointment for this purpose. And
Okay.
if further is needed, we can obviously, someone can file for the guardian to be put back on the case, but I don't want to get to the point of having to deal with that now, so.
Well, she'll.
Okay, so are you of the opinion that I would not need to appear for the rehearing?
Right. Well, no, on that issue, on the issue of the homeschool, or the homeschooling versus public or private, yes, for that purpose, but that's the limitation on that, not for the full custody hearing at this point, unless
Okay.
there's a request for that further.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
That's what my understanding was anyway with this, wasn't for the full custody.
Right, it's just right.
Okay, thank you so much.
On Thomas versus Engel, I believe Miss Engel is now here. I've never seen her attorney before. I don't think I'd recognize my